Theo Reinharber asks Rotwell his opinion about what will happen. Rotwell says if they witness what they have often seen before, then naturally young Master Allen will win. Theo agrees and says he also thinks the same. Rotwell wonders if the family head anticipates a different result. Although young Master Nox has indeed changed, Rotwell does not get the impression that he will win. He says that is outrageous and impossible. He remembers once he too walked the path of a knight, fighting by the family head's side. The sword is sometimes intricate, but at other times the simplest thing in the world. He knows only there is one thing that can turn everything upside down and cause a stronger person to eventually kneel, and this is genius, as it implies an overwhelming talent. But young Master Nox is not born with that sort of talent, however, it is like he has zero potential. Before the match begins, Allen asks Nox to give up now and says even if he is the disgrace of their family, he is still his younger brother, so he can't hit him too hard. But when Nox refuses to give up, then it is announced that with the right of admittance into the Elydian Academy at stake, the sparring match will formally begin between Nox von Reinharber and Allen von Reinharber. The two must accept the results of the spar and never dispute them. Nox becomes nervous as he fears if he loses here, it is all over. From regaining his memory to finding out who sent him the letter, albeit with a year of postponement, his life will come to an end. Then the fight starts, and Nox blocks the attacks very well initially. The one truth of this damn game called Inner Lunatic is that if Nox loses here, he will have to let everything go. But if he wins here, he feels like he will be able to get everything under his grasp. Priscilla, who is also watching them, thinks it looks like she was needlessly worried after hearing that the youngest had changed. In the end, the last child who enters the Elydian Academy from the Reinharber family will be her son. Allen is continuously attacking Nox with his swords. Nox is having difficulty handling all this. Theo also says he was looking forward to it because he had heard he had changed in the end. Is this the best he can do? Rotwell says if they let this fight go on, young Master Nox will need a long time to recover. Allen and Hatch, their aptitude is good, but not to the point that they are like an uncut gem compared to Garen, the eldest. Their skills are sorely lacking. The rule of the might be the black sword. He brings everything before his feet and wrings his opponents to their knees with his overwhelming armed might. Theo asks to stop the match, but then Nox's sword and martial arts genius characteristics have been activated. Allen is surprised to see him fighting with such a strong passion. Nox knows although it is hard to utilize this skill to its full potential, as long as his characteristics are activated, it is decided that he is the winner of this fight. Thune Allen's sword drops, and he sits down. Nox thinks even so, he must not let his guard down. The skill only lasts for 5 minutes. He has to end it somehow within that time. He tells Allen that he has been going easy on him until now, but he can't any longer because he is bored. So it is best to finish this as quickly as possible. He asks both Allen and Hatch to come at him at once together. He requests his father to allow him to fight both of his brothers at the same time. Theo observes his spirit has changed. It looks like there is something that he has hidden. It will be worth watching it a little more, so he says he will allow the two on one spar. Meanwhile, Hatch and Allen become so angry that how Nox dares to humiliate them in front of father. They ask him to be prepared and then attack together. But he dodged their attacks very well and instead attacked back. Everyone is surprised to see that the disgrace of the family has changed this much. He continues attacking them. When the time duration of his genius time stream is over, the fight is almost over. The young Master Nox is declared as the victor of the fight. After that, Nox leaves the hall, and Talia decides to catch him right now. After coming back, Nox sees blood on his hand. He thinks it looks like he has overdone it a bit with the skills time. The Genius Time Stream skill has one grave drawback. If it is used past its time limit, then the user will be caught in a rebound debuff state. The status window tells the player's lifespan has been reduced by 2 days and 17 hours due to the recoil of the Genius Time Stream skill. This skill permanently takes one's vitality and is the most debuff that makes it easy for the user to fall sick. Nox says, as he is already a terminally ill patient, it is a relief that the rebound did not occur in front of others. If he had been caught by even another person his admission to the academy would have been cancelled. But then suddenly, Talia arrives and sees his hand. She asks if he got hurt during the spar earlier. He says, "Damn it, This is what he was trying to hide from others. She says she may have misunderstood him, but also admires him as he was able to beat his brothers in a spar with that ruined body. In the past month that she had seen him, not once did Nox hold a sword in his hands. On the first day, it just ended with him swinging a wooden sword several times with a clumsy posture. But for that sort of person to be able to win, that was the domain of the talented. She thinks she needs to ask just how he was able to flourish his talent and how he was able to improve his skills. But after all of the sparring was over, the figure of him standing alone. She is worried about his fragile look. She thinks Nox was not a lout, as the rumors had said. He just worked hard to win any way he could. Suddenly, Nox starts coughing. She comes forward and asks if he is all right. He stops her from coming near to him and asks not to touch his body. She says sorry and says that from what she has heard, he was born naturally weak, and it was because of that he was only doing stamina training. She is sorry for the misunderstanding. She did not know he was that serious about the sword. She also says he must have unknowingly made a mistake acting like a lout too, as Emma said anyone can make that sort of mistake. Meanwhile, Nox is thinking about the ways to react to this as she is earnest like he saw in the game. Even if she is a child who has chivalrous characteristics, she is the child of a hard-nosed, reputable duchy. It would not have been easy for her to acknowledge her mistake to someone else. He then speaks up and says if she thinks that then he would like it, and asks her not to tell anyone that he has a bloody nose as he won't have to worry about this matter leaking. She says of course she won't tell anyone. Then he asks her to keep her promise and goes back. On the other side, Theo says his predictions may have been correct. Rotwell says he still does not understand why at first Nox was just staying still, getting hit. But he also admits that at this age of the young master of all time in his age group, he is the best. Theo says he also thinks that way, and he is not sure why he feels this, but he does believe that young child Nox is hiding even more of his talent. He asks Rotwell to keep an eye out on the youngest's every move, but only watch what he does. He wonders if the youngest has the talent to inherit the might of the Black Sword. He says he does not have much time now, so tells Rotwell that his role is much more important now. Rotwell says he will do his best. Meanwhile, Nox thinks that he has run for 1 month straight just to raise his stamina to 2, but the place he needs to invest in is the status window. He knows the value of the luck stats is much higher than anything else in Inner Lunatic. His status window informs when he has maxed out on luck. There is a 95% chance of getting intermediate or higher grades. He is allowed to select a confirmation ticket out of 3. Gray tickets are for those below low grade, silver for intermediate grade, and gold for higher grade. He sees there is a rainbow in the case of the highest grade. He requests the gold ticket, and when he gets it, the status window tells him the grade is being determined, so he is congratulated on gaining the high grade characteristic, Power of the Supreme. He is so happy about this as he can't believe he picked this. He knows this is a god tier item. He still can't believe a debuff skill showed up. He says there are more rewards left for him. The skill that he will be getting here has already been determined. One of the hidden pieces that can be earned from the Reinharber family. To get that into his hands, he needs that skill. He knows Theo will soon call the brothers in the residence. It will be used then. He thinks it is soon time for Green to return to the residence. Green von Reinharber is the second of the Reinharber family. It's been a while since the Elydian Academy graduation, and to perform his duties as a knight, he should be in the middle of his trip. From the hidden piece to Green, he has no time to rest, says Nox. He knows the only thing that is a relief at least is that he won't have to worry about Thalia Mel. She is not the type of character that'd break a promise, and there is no reason for her to approach him again either. But later at night, she again comes and asks him to tell her what she has to do to become strong quickly like that. She requests to teach her how to become stronger. He says while was training for the whole month, he knows she snooped around and saw everything. He thinks Talia is a character who wants to be recognized by her sister. He says before she asks him that, or even thinks about how to train, she should think about the ability she has. He advises her not to compare herself to others needlessly. Then he leaves the place. After coming outside, he hopes she won't chase him around. For a girl who might end up killing him, there is no need to show her how he gets the hidden piece, he thinks. Then he reaches the place which is one of the top 3 places in the continent where they raise famous horses. Theo called them all there when everyone reached there. He says today they are all going to pick a horse that they will ride for their whole life. Nox says as he thinks the time has come. In Inner Lunatic, not only in the Reinharber family, horse is the most scared animal on the whole continent. If one plans to become a knight or a mage, one has to choose one in their childhood. It is an animal that they will use as a lifelong companion. The Elydian Academy also teaches horseback riding separately. There are many great battles in the second half of the game, so once the horse dies, one has to raise it from the start. Moreover, teleportation magic is very expensive. Nox thinks that is inconvenient, as horses are a really important transportation method, so he has to pick the best horse. Theo asks Nox to pick a horse first, as he is the winner of the competition. Theo looks forward to his youngest son's choice. Nox says all the horses are good, but soon he finds the one he is searching for. When he tells his father about his choice, Theo says he will give him one more chance. Nox thinks his father is giving him another chance. That means in everyone's eyes, his choice is a failure. However, his skill of eye discernment shows the stats of the designated target. His rank is higher grade. Summon beasts are divided into ranks. As they grow, one can try to develop them into higher ranks. In other words, that means that he can at least aim for this horse to reach the highest level. On top of that, the breed is obsidian. They have the meaning of backstone, and they are the most precious of all breeds. He thinks if they had known the breed, the master would have taken it for himself. Even though currently, the horse is not that good looking because it is still weak. Then he tells his father that he will not change his decision, and he will take this horse. He says he can save him with his knowledge. Theo is surprised by his choice and thinks he may have selected a weak horse just like similar to himself. In the end, he is just a weak kid who's drawn to such feelings of affection. Theo becomes disappointed and says he hopes Nox will not regret his choice. Ben Rotwell asks him to decide a name for his horse. Nox says he has chosen his horse's name Carl. Carl is the name he used every time he cleared Inner Lunatic. It is a name that means a lot to him. Then he brings that horse with him to his room. He says since he can't let anybody see what he will be doing from now on, he has brought him into his room. Then Rona arrives there and is surprised to see the horse is on the bed. He orders her to take care of his horse as he is a sick kid. She agrees and says she will look after this horse. 3 days later, Rona tells him Carl is dead. He says she is crying badly. He knows she did look after Carl quite sincerely. He knew from the start that this would happen, and Carl could not be saved. He then asks her to stop crying and says he needs to focus, but her crying is distracting. He says Carl will come back and stand aside with him again. Rona thinks there is something wrong with the young master's head. Nox brings out that confirmation ticket and says if he pumps some mana into this scroll, then Carl will be saved. She is surprised to see him using mana. He asks her if she is loud again, and then he will kill Carl twice. It will be because of her. He asks her to stay quiet as he needs to concentrate. Forget being able to wield mana, he can't even enlighten the mana-sensing genius characteristic. In the Empire, it is not permitted to wield mana under the age of 15 without being a member of the Imperial family. Thanks to this rule, children of the Imperial family have magic skills. They are several times better than the students who come to know mana later on. He says all he can do is just pour his mana like a waterfall. He can feel a weak energy beneath his fingertips, as he can use a confirmation ticket only one time, so there is no chance to make any mistakes. As the magic he will be starting now is a black magic. Through this, the designated target, Carl, can become undead. The undead in the Inner Lunatic has 2 main characteristics. The first, they are beings that are brought back through black magic and dark mana. Second, just because they are brought back does not mean that they are not devoid of an ego. Rather, they are born again as stronger existences. On top of that, they show unconditional loyalty towards their owner. The problem is that there is only one family that can bring back corpses as undead. It is the renowned dark family, the Marbas family. Reinharber is also a renowned dark family, but unlike the Reinhabers, who are knights, the Marbas are a family of black mages who generally control the undead. Nox has only a one-time skill option. The thing that he will acquire from it is Necronomicon, nicknamed the Book of the Killer. While doing all this magic, blood starts coming out of his mouth. Rona becomes frightened to see this, but he continues and soon says his mana is no longer. But his skill has been used successfully. Carl has been reborn as an undead. He becomes happy that his skill worked. He then tells Carl that from henceforth he is Carl's master. A few days later, he comes to the forest at night. He feels the road is not changed much in comparison when it is a game. That is a relief. He needs to acquire the second hidden piece of the Reinharber family. There he sees a paper notice hung with a tree. This notice tells this is a forest of missing children. So little children must not go in, because if they do, they will lose their way and die. This concludes the latest chapter, and we will be ending it here. I hope you enjoyed this recap. See you at the next one.